generally, it comes down to, light control, privacy, view through, and, automation. Those are the main things that we wanna discuss when we're talking about that. So are they looking for privacy, or are they not looking for privacy? Are they just looking to block light? Are they looking to be able to, how much are they gonna use their shades? Are they looking to be able to move them up and down every day? Do they need view through? And are their windows accessible to them? So they have, a high transom window, which is the window that's stacked above your normal height window. So that might be a second story even type window, or it might just be just enough that it's out of reach. Those windows, you usually, if they're going to be able to actually operate them, you're either gonna have a long cord hanging, which is ugly, or they're gonna be cordless and not use them very much, or they're gonna be motorized. If they have those big tubs and you've got the like 4x4 window behind it, those are hard to get to because a lot of people don't even get in that tub ever. So if they actually want to be able to operate that shade, that's a place that's a good place to suggest a motorized window covering. So even when they're not doing motorization in the whole house, sometimes there's a place that it makes sense to just say, I would say absolutely save some money here, here, and here, but this is where I would suggest you go ahead and spend that little bit extra to make this a window you can actually operate. And so there's situations like that that you wanna think about with that type of product with motorization add-ons. If they're looking to do, let's see, a lot of times I'm looking for a blackout, and that's the terminology your layman's gonna use. I'm looking for a blackout shade. Okay, well I have room darkening options. Nothing is gonna give you true blackout, but we can get pretty close to it with a couple of products. A cell shade in a room darkening fabric with side channels is going to be your most room darkening, closest to blackout that you can get. I can also add those side channels on a roller shade. So that's another place, it's an upsell to do those side channels. And it only works with certain lighting systems, but it is gonna give them the most room darkening effect. The other thing they can do, which you guys may eventually get to where you're comfortable offering, is to add a decorative side panel to the side of a shade, and that covers that light gap that's inherent to almost every shade. Yes, exactly. And Hunter Douglas has a bag that curates all those options and makes it pretty easy to select. So it's something you'll eventually get familiar with. But on the back wall over there on the side, there's
The blue
As an example.
yes, as an
Okay.
example.
That's
there's-
what I was trying to.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not used in that way there, we just got on demonstrating this
Okay.
poster here that's on the floor in front of Hooch kind of shows you
Okay.
some side panels too. If you add them to any shade, it covers those light gaps on the side.
And they're fixed.
Yes, exactly, they're stationary, they don't move. And that's the least expensive way to do a drapery, is to have it stationary where it doesn't move. It's just a decorative accent, but it does cover some light gap. But so if they're looking for room darkening, Cell Shade has the least amount of light leakage because it fits your window the tightest. It has the smallest amount of deduction. Deduction being, if I order a window, I order a shade at 35 inches, and I order blind, they take about a 1/2 inch deduction on the headrail. On a roller shade, there's a deduction on the headrail, and then the fabric is even smaller than the headrail. Cellular shade has the least amount of deduction, so it's gonna fit my window the tightest. And I have the least amount of light spot.
Say
If
about
I-
a 1/4 inch
Yeah.
each side.
And that's what we consider in industry-wide, a 1/4 inch is considered an acceptable light gap. So that's always a conversation you wanna have too, like that they understand there's gonna be a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch variance most of the time on a shade, between your fabric and your trim. But if they're looking for room darkening, and always again correct, not blackout, cell shade, roller shade with side channels, those are gonna be your best options. Everything we sell pretty much is gonna come in a room darkening opacity. So if they're not worried, and I'll ask them that, so how light sensitive are you? When you talk about room darkening, are you just meaning you don't want your neighbor's headlights beaming you in the eye, or are you meaning you want your room really dark? Like, how dark are we talking? And a lot of times that's all they're meaning, is just they don't want the glare coming straight through, or the sun comes up in the morning and it beams them in the face. They're not that worried about the light leakage. They just want to keep most of the light out. If that's the case, you can do almost any product. And the pirouettes are really actually very great at room darkening. They have that light leakage on the side, but they do give you a really good room darkening effect when they're closed. But any of the other products will work for that too, as long as you choose a room darkening fabric. And then if they're looking for UV control, but they want to be able to see through, so that's where you start looking into those options that have the view through. So, because you can do top down, bottom up, but then you have no UV blockage other than what's on your windows. So if you have really nice floors, they have expensive furniture, they have art, a lot of times they want that extra UV, and these products have that. That sheer gives them some good UV blockage. And so does a screen shade. So if they're looking to be able to see through, and they want to control the UV or the light and glare coming in, then you're looking for something that has a view through. And to recap which products those are, would be your pirouette, your silhouette.
Vignette.
Oh, the it's.
Well, the vignette doesn't really have a view through unless you do a
Okay.
sheer fabric.
Okay.
So we're talking about things that can be used in two ways. So you have full light control or you have a view through. You would have pirouette, silhouette, banded shade, and that's the one that alternates the lines of fabric. When it's aligned properly, you have a view through, or it can be, give you good privacy and, or not so much room darkening as well, but some level of room darkening. I would never sell that as truly a room darkening product. It's too hard to line up. But it is a good view through product. It doesn't give you the best view through. It doesn't, because it's those two layers and you don't have like a clear view option on that, it's always gonna be a little muted view. But you do get a view through natural light in, which is a lot of times what people want, is natural light coming in. And then you have blinds or shutters if they're not concerned with UV, but they want to view through. So then you have shutters that you can direct your light, and of course blinds, you can direct your light, you can raise or lower. If they're saying, I want something I can raise completely every day, you really want to dissuade them from a blind. Nothing wears a blind more than being lifted every day. They're not really meant to be lifted every day, they're meant to be tilted. So that's gonna wear your cords, they're heavier to operate like that, they wear out. They're a pain in the butt, and they're hard to clean. So yeah, if they want to view through, a shutter is a better product than a blind. It's just a higher price point. It's also easier to clean and adds to their home value, which a blind does
And
not.
it can be opened up for that full view.
Right, you
Yeah.
can open it as long as you've got enough room, in your room, because they do,
Yeah.
your panel has to swing out. You want to make sure you've got enough room to get inside. Yeah. I don't think we talked very much about verticals. I know we kind of talked about the different products, but when they have a large
You said
slider,
verticals you're talking about.
yes,
Yeah.
something like this, or your college apartment vertical blind, the plastic things. And then we have, a luminette, and we did not talk about that. We'll have to look at that again.
Is that this?
It's the next one down on the bottom. The fabric one looks like drapes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a luminette. Those are really expensive. I realize we didn't
Here?
cover that, so we'll go back through
The
it.
one that's
Yeah.
kind of sheer a little bit?
Yes. It is like your college vertical blind with a fabric sheer layered over it, encasing the plastic components. So it opens like a drape, opens and closes like a drape, but the flap also tilts. It gives you a lot of options. They are extremely expensive.
This slats tilt to vertical.
Yeah, they tilt
That's the
vertically,
difference. That's what
like a
you're,
vertical blind.
that's what you're getting, cause it looks like drapes, but
Exactly.
that's what you'd be getting that you wouldn't get with drapes, is the ability to,
Yes,
okay.
yes. And we can motorize those really, very simply, and they'll do some nice, good widths for you.
Is there a big demand for those?
There's a lot of need for that type of product because, again, with the way their builders are doing homes here, they're doing really big openings on the back of the houses.
Right.
Lots of big spaces that still need to be addressed, and most of your window coverings don't cover those kinds of sizes very easily. So some kind of a vertical product, like a luminette, is a great answer to them, but they are really expensive. So so you're talking about $5,000 to do a window a lot of times. They're really pricey. So
So
don't
the-
sell very many of those.
The options for those big spaces that are becoming more and more popular
Yes.
would be what that we have?
That we have roller shade, just doing it and you mount it at the trim or above. And, because a lot of times people only close those certain times of the day or certain times of the year. If it's on the back of the house, they're not looking most of the time for privacy, or they want it open most of the time, they have a beautiful view and they want to see that view. So a roller shade, and they can just keep it up unless they need the light or privacy.
Sure.
Something like a pirouette, those will go pretty good size.
Now, in the case of a roller shade, you could also darken part of it and still
Exactly.
keep certain parts.
Exactly.
You can customize what you want to keep
Right.
open simply by that.
Very true.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, if it's really big, we're gonna do multiple shades.
Yeah,
It's not gonna be able to
right.
cover one. So yeah, you can
Yeah.
have one part down.
Right.
They can, where you have a slider, you can have the part where you're actually going in and out up,
Right.
and everything else is
Right,
down.
right.
Yeah. We have behind you there, the Vertiglide, that is the cellular shade on a vertical operation. Looks like a church divider, right? There's a woven wood that it is
Option.
again the exact same shade as you would have as a horizontal, but it's turned. So it's the exact same fabric and they turn it. I think we've sold 2 of those in the time that I've worked here.
Not
They're
very
kind
common.
of, I mean, it's not for everyone. And again, they're a little
Those
pricey.
wooden verticals,
Yes, those can be motorized.
woven wood vertical.
They call it a vertical drape.
Right.
Yeah, and then the Vertiglide is the one drains there in front of.
Duet Vertiline.
Duet, and you put that in applause as well. Those will go pretty good size width, not, I don't think they go.
And these are
wide.
made to be no see-through, or there's some that have opaque options, or?
Yeah, you can get different,
Opacity.
opacities, very good.
Opacity.
Yes, you can get different opacities, with any of these. So, and like with a vertical drape, you can get a liner, if you want it to be more room.
These are kind of like,
Yes.
That's what I was
yeah,
thinking.
kind of is.
That's why I said earlier, you get,
Yeah, this is for your inner hippie.
yeah, this is for your
Yeah.
inner 60 hippie there,
Right.
yeah.
It's not very natural, they're very like, it's like California casual or something, or it's
Exactly.
like terminology you'll hear. Yeah.
there's no F in that, there's no F in that.
There is in this one.
The Luminette does those big sizes, but again, it's kind of, on the costly side, people love it, they look at it, but they almost never buy it, it's expensive. And then you have the Skyline panels, the downside to these is, again, you can't tilt them, and when you open them, you take up a lot of space. So most of the time, if somebody's got that big slider, and that is a question you will hear a lot, it's the pain point for a lot of people, is how do I cover this giant part of my living room?
Would the advantage of this one be that you can match it to your other
Yeah.
blinds? That's the advantage
That's
of
the
using that.
advantage, is that
Yeah.
it coordinates.
Not the function so much, but the
Yes.
ability to match it to your other.
And then I can slide it over and use part of that opening without, having to raise the whole thing as I would if I do a roller shade.
Gotcha.
Because I could just do the roller shade. Most of the time, that's what we do, is just the roller. Sometimes we do a cell in the same application. But yeah, I don't know, probably 80% of the time, if they're covering one of those large openings, they do roller shades. Because you can go wide. It's approachable price point because you're having to cover a lot of space. Compared to if you do a Luminette, you're looking at, $10,000.
Something like the one on the end. Yeah.
The pirouette, you can do
Pirouette.
those.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we'll do those the same as we do a roller, we'll break it up into the
that would be
openings.
beautiful.
It is, it's actually gorgeous, and they fit pretty closely together when they're
It would
mounted
be.
side by side. They are, they're gorgeous. They're
The
absolutely stunning.
Luminette is that
How
one.
much did you
Yeah.
pay? Did you give Dwayne a list of questions before we started? I think he forgot we're all here. He's just like killing it right now.
He came primed. I
I
don't
know,
know.
man. So you're ready to roll.
The trick is remembering it.
Yeah. Well, y'all all seem to be doing good. I'm hearing with the questions, you're retaining like the cassette and that kind of stuff. So, okay, so they're looking to control heat. Again, your cellular shade is gonna be your best bet because it has that insulation. And then behind that,
That's the one that looks like a honeycomb too.
yes, that's
Yeah.
your honeycomb cellular shade. Right behind that is the Sonnet, which is the baby of the roller shade and the cellular shade. A lot of people don't like the look of the cellular shade, so I would suggest that Sonnet, then maybe this one right behind you, because it has that extra energy efficiency, more than a roller shade, but it looks more like a roller shade, so it looks more contemporary.
What's the price difference, Jen?
generally between.
Percentage wise, that, the normal honeycomb and this
Uh-huh.
guy.
Oh, not very much. Actually,
Really?
Sonnet is a very,
Wow.
good price point
Looks
on the
way
product.
nicer.
It does, it looks really good. The only, thing is that it is on a roller, so you can't do top down with that. So it's just, it is what it is. It can be light filtering or room darkening, and you have fewer lifting system options with that. But it looks really good, and it gives you that extra energy efficiency. A Solera and Vignette also give you energy efficiency. The Duets right now are actually, and they're the only window covering that have this, they're certified to give you a rebate, you get a tax rebate for adding the energy efficiency to your home, right now if you buy Duets. That just started in January, and it's only on certain fabrics, but I've got a whole program, I'll send y'all on that, but it is, they can get a tax rebate for the year, up to $1,200, I think, so that's a nice little add-on, plus Hunter Douglas does, what?
It's great, I'm like more than windows. you
Oh,
know?
yeah. Hunter
It's insane.
Douglas does also rebates periodically. They typically run 3 to 4 a year on different product categories. And so right now, we have the Duets on rebate and you have the tax rebate. So they can double dip and get a really good deal back on Duets right now.
So the homeowner gets that rebate?
Yeah.
It's like a mail-in type
Mhm.
deal.
Yeah, the rebate from Hunter Douglas is a mail-in or an email or whatever.
Yeah.
And they get a digital code or something, and then the taxes they would file at the end of the year. So it's a nice little savings for them, and it's a great.
I'm sorry if I
No,
missed
go
it. Is
ahead.
there a specific function that defines the duet?
There's no function in what way? What do you mean?
Well, I mean, several of these products are called duet.
Oh no, Duo Light
Okay.
is where it has the roller shade that drops the liner behind.
Got it, got it.
Duet is a product category of cellular honeycomb shades.
Okay.
Okay, so that is just the duet.
That's just the name of the
It's
category.
just the name of the
I
category.
got you.
And Applause is its little brother. So
Applause.
Applause. Yes, yes. So
You
Toyota
perform a duet.
is
and
the
you get an
Applause,
applause.
Lexus is the Duet.
Okay.
And Duet
And there's
has,
an encore too, I'm sure.
let's see here, just to give you an example, this is the Duet book. And this is the Applause book. So you can see it is literally just like half the amount of fabrics that you have in your Duet. It's a curated collection, there's fewer options, fewer fabrics, fewer colors. So, but it's a lower price point. And then the Duet has just so many choices on fabrics. So certainly for everybody for sure. And the Duet has that large pleat size. We can look as we walk back through maybe when we're done. The Duet has a small pleat and then they come into a larger pleat. It's a 1 1/4. So it has a more relaxed look and you get rid of that sort of dated component that you have with the really small pleat size. So this one is actually the large. This is the 1 1/4.
If someone doesn't have UV in their windows, do these fade or yellow or change color? Are they all UV stable?
Question.
They can over time.
Didn't think of that.
I
I didn't think of
mean,
that.
like, we've had people that have come to us, and they had something they bought 20 years ago, and now they wanna buy another shade. Yes, they can discolor over time.
Okay.
It's,
All the more reason to get a new window before you put a
right,
new bridge.
before you put an expensive shade in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
And there is no shade that is sold with that kind of protection.
Not that's gonna guarantee that it's never gonna discolor,
Yeah.
yeah. Your blinds and shutters are guaranteed for a certain amount of, not wood, but the poly and the wood composite that has, the poly coat on top of it, those are guaranteed to not discolor. But most of your other products are not going to be. They are all gonna have a liner on the back that for the most part should protect them, but I would think over time you would probably get just some atmospheric discoloring.
I have a question. You might have covered this when I stepped away, but on the cellular energy efficient shades, is there any value statement that you use for, I mean, it has single pane, double pane windows, what kind of heat it reduces, like?
There's all that information in like AERC's guide, and I can make sure that that's available to y'all. We don't have a statement we have typically just used.
Okay.
No.
Gotcha.
So,
But-
and
As far as feedback you've gotten from folks that put them in, is it a significant reduction on heat?
Yes.
Is it?
yes.
Okay.
And people say like literally I can tell the difference when I walk in that room in the temperature.
Wow.
It's huge. Do y'all use those meters when you're doing rooms,
Yeah,
when you're,
you could do the heat one,
yeah.
hit the window and hit the blind.
Mm-hmm.
I've done that with FLIR and shutters before.
Yeah, and you'll have hand samples that you can, use for that kind of thing, that you can hang in the window and show that. So I would think that would work with your meters, and that would be a great sales tool for it. I know there are some dealers that use those, we just never have. I've seen them do it when we did product demonstrations with different vendors though, and it's very impactful. You see like a heat lamp and then, show it thermometer in the front, and it is radical.
When we had, the honeycomb blinds, we had really crappy windows in our house. I don't know, we didn't know a window guy at the time, but. My wife would pull them down
Uh-huh.
to keep on cold nights, to
Yes.
actually keep it
Yes.
warm, and it's a noticeable difference.
Okay, see, so, and that's not
I
even with
noticed
like
that,
a
I don't
high
know if you
quality
hear
one.
that, but
Yeah,
I think they were graver probably.
probably, yeah. We tend to talk about the heat because it's Texas and that's our biggest concern, but it is definitely, the same for winter. And we had a client that came to us not too long ago that was buying for that. They remembered they were talking about the winter before and how cold their house was, and so they wanted to make sure they got solid wheeler shades installed before, because they could tell the difference the one room they had it in. And so they put them through the rest of the house for that reason.
Do you think that they work better than shutters
Yeah,
for that?
I do.
I'm sorry, which one was better than shutters?
I think cellular shades are more insulating than shutters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You just got a double pocket there that traps that stuff, whereas with the shutter, it's just behind the shutter. It's not quite as encapsulated. So you get a little bit more energy efficiency.
Right, it's
And-
like a blanket, yeah.
The AERC has a good guide on all of those. You've got ratings on almost every Hunter Douglas product thing, and they'll promote that for you. So that's in the guide, and I'll make sure you know where to find that information. Shutters can be insulating, but they're just not as much. And in terms of light blocking, I would say the same. Shutters can be a good room darkening, but they do have a lot of inherent light gaps. So they're never gonna be as much of a room darkening product as anything else would be in terms of the shade. Just you lightly get through the movers. For the same reason. They're not gonna be as insulating.
There's a ton of video we could do. I don't know if it'd ever be possible, but my mind's just racing, like
Yeah,
video with the FLIR and somebody that has the top 5 brands of blinds y'all sell, not brands, but lines of
Yeah.
blinds.
mhm,
And raise and lower them, show them what it does to the room, and then do
Yes.
the FLIR, the FLIR gun on it,
uh-huh.
and show what it does to the heat coming through. That would be super powerful.
That would be cool, yeah, for sure. Let's see, what other needs do we address a lot, other than, privacy, which anything will give you privacy as long as it's not a sheer product. And then, again, the energy efficiency, we talked about your best options for that. We talked about some of your best options for the large openings and for windows that they can't access easily, so that would be motorization.
So sometimes we do different windows in different parts of the house.
Yeah,
Is that a reality with y'all, like you do a nicer version on the front, so you don't see the backs, that's a thing?
absolutely. A lot of times people will do shutters on the front windows. They want that street facing look. You'll go through a neighborhood and everybody has shutters on the window, so they want to have that in the front, it's just sort of the norm. And then on the back of the house, they'll do, maybe it's something less expensive, or maybe it's just they want a different product, they're looking for a different need to be assessed there. But a lot of times we do multiple products in them. You'll get some people, they're like, oh, I want the same thing everywhere, but that's not typical. I wouldn't say it's typical. Most people want different rooms to serve different purposes, and they're flexible about it.
So when we're doing it, that's important to know, because when we're doing a needs analysis, that may
Yeah.
differ by room,
Right.
or side of the house.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I will have, with your new build clients, it's interesting because they've a lot of times thought about that. They put a lot of thought into what windows are gonna be western facing and what rooms are gonna have a lot of light and heat. And we'll do products based on that because they already come to you knowing that they've thought about it. But if it's not a new home, or it's, you know, something they just moved into a neighborhood, they may not have all that information. So it's great to be able to kind of walk through and talk to them about that. Like, you know, this room is gonna get a whole lot more light and heat coming in than that. You can address this here, address that there. Let's see, with the aesthetic type things, we kind of talked about what's trending, and what your most common go-tos are gonna be, your most common asks, and that's, like I said, roller shades, because you can do so many different looks, and they're really versatile. They go in contemporary, they can fit into a more traditional, you have a lot of color and fabric options, so roller shades can fit almost any scenario. And I think that's probably why they're one of our best sellers, just they work for everything. And then your cell shades, we're seeing more of those now. Your woven woods, those are really popular in a certain demographic. So maybe 30s to 40s, kind of that range. Someone that's more design minded, they're usually looking at the woven woods. And then your home buyers this is their, you know, forever home or whatever, they're putting a lot into it, they put a lot of planning, they're willing to put money into it, they're usually gonna be very interested in something like the Pure Way. It serves every possible need, and it's beautiful, it's really elegant looking, it's very high end, and it's proprietary to Hunter Douglas, nobody else has it, so they get that sort of eclat with it, and they love that product. I think if anything else in terms of serving need that is just inherent to this or that. If you're looking at more aesthetic choices, a lot of times they'll go to the Romans. And then you just have to know, is this gonna be a vignette client or is this gonna be a Solera client? You know, are they gonna be looking for top dollar, or are they looking to save a little money? And then if they want to do top down, bottom up, then you're gonna be looking at either a stacking vignette or a Solera. If they want a roller that's gonna go away, that could be a flat vignette.
Learn new language.
There's a lot of language, and I will make sure you guys have, you know, a really good guide on that, and some good, like you said, like a one-page kind of that you can refer to, because there is a lot of terminology.
How small is the print on that one page?
Right?
Yeah, when I say one page, that's,
Your 2.75 magnifying glass up.
we're gonna use that loosely.
As long as it's digital, we're just.
Yeah,
We can
yeah,
zoom in.
everything's, Hooch did ask that everything please be digital for you guys. So
No.
you have it available.
Do you have that needs analysis sheet that you could send me or give me?
I can put something together for you. It's in part of the slides that I sent, we kind of
Is it
started
in
on
there?
that, but it's not
Okay.
really fully fleshed out, so it needs to be more done, so.
Either that or if you and I can just walk through it.
I think,
and I
yeah.
can jot down notes as you're
Okay.
talking.
I think that might be something we wanna work into your script and
Yeah.
stuff, so, yeah. Okay. I think we've covered lifting systems and everything, so I think for right now, we've kind of really run the gamut of everything y'all could possibly retain today.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you were awesome.
It's more than you could possibly retain today.
And then Tia next week.
Tia next week,
Oh.
she will dive into that app with you guys, which is gonna be a lifesaver, you're gonna love it.